Hey yo, salute to all my subscribers. Shout out to everybody else passing through. So recently I had a phone conversation with a longtime close personal friend of mine, Trevina, who stopped through to pose a few questions. So in typical fashion, I decided to open the conversation up for all of you on my platform because often it's the things we talk about in private that are usually the things we deal with in public but don't necessarily feel comfortable enough to speak about. So let's get into this podcast.
So first of all, where do you get that from? Why do you feel like sex is all men think about? Is that like a personal experience of yours?
Yes, definitely. I feel like from college years and from high school, just in general, even when I first came to the States, I feel like that's all that men think about, especially here in the United States. You see it more than anywhere else.
Really? Is that true?
Yeah, and even with experiences that my girlfriends tell me, and I just feel that that's what it is.
Okay, so hold on. So first of all, because I'm a big proponent of anything that I talk about, I either experience it in a first-hand way or a second-hand way. And what I mean by that is sometimes there are experiences that we haven't had yet. But through talking to other people and sharing stories and interacting, sometimes we experience things in a second-hand nature. And I'm a big proponent of, if you're going to coach me on anything, if you're going to coach me on how to be a better parent, you better be a parent. If you're going to coach me on how to move around in a relationship, how to keep a partner happy, you better be in a relationship. If you're going to coach me on how to broaden my stroke on a canvas, you better be a painter. I hate people who talk about things and try to sound educated on things that they have no experience in. So before we even get into that, what is it that qualifies you to talk about relationships? Are you in a relationship? Are you single? Are you married?
Yes,
All for the
I
listeners.
am married.
And how long
Yes,
have you been
I'm
married?
taken.
Okay, no.
5 years.
So you've been married. So, okay. So that's,
Mm-hmm.
see, here's the thing, too, about a lot of married couples. If you haven't been married for at least 3 years, I don't even want to talk to you about marriage because you're still in that honeymoon stage. Now, you've been married for 5 years, and you have a kid, too, right?
Correct.
So I think you're fully qualified to talk about marriage at this point. So I'm real interested, though, now, because you said that you don't think that men abroad look at sex the same way that men in this country does.
Correct, yes.
That's so funny because, okay, I'm in the hospitality industry, so I meet people from all around the world. And for some reason, I always thought that, like, when it comes to things like sex, I always thought in this country, I thought that we're more primitive and more, like, suppressed of all the other cultures, all the other countries. Like, that's not true?
No, like in other countries, they all wait till they get married, and some of them don't even have sex. Some of them are not experienced in the sex world, and some of them have to watch porn and things like that to be able to learn and to see what they're going to do on their first night, when they get married. So a lot of people, it might cross their mind, but some of them don't even know what to do or what occurs on that night. What happens?
So wait. This is really good information. Like, I'm learning a lot right now. So wait. So do you think that a person can watch and really learn, like, how to engage in sexual activity from just watching it on TV?
Yeah, definitely. Of course.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Okay. So then, you being from, technically, what's your nationality?
Egyptian.
And so, were you a virgin when you got married?
Can we not go there?
No, I'm really interested. I'm really curious.
No.
Okay. I mean, that's not a big deal. I mean, it's 2016. I mean, at the time, it was 2011. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I only asked because I was real interested because you said that a lot of people from other cultures, when they get married, a lot of them, that's the first time that they engage in sexual activity. That's very interesting.
Right.
So here's my thing. Here's what I'm curious about. Because we're all human. We all have natural primitive urges. Where do you get off? Where do your friends get off saying that men always think about is sex? Females don't think about sex?
They do, but I feel like it's not as much as men.
Well, that's interesting. Because in all
And
the
like,
research that I've done and all the reading that I've done, I've always found that women say that women think about sex way off more often than men do.
is that so?
Well, I've always heard that it's not quite as overt. Obviously, like it's not, they don't put it out there, but like just in their own heads. I always hear that females think about sex way more than men, or at least as much.
No, I feel like men are way more.
Okay.
That's why I think, like, if you even think about it, a lot of the men have had more sexual partners than women have. And a lot of guys are into the one night stands because all they want to do is just have sex. That's what they are. They take care of themselves and do their own thing at night or in the morning when they wake up. That's because they're horny and
hold on.
So.
You're talking about women. I don't know if I can rock with you on that because here's the thing. First of all, I know plenty of women who engage in one-night stands, and a man can't engage in a one-night stand by himself.
That's correct, but I feel like a lot of women, they get attached emotionally, and therefore they don't put themselves out there, or a lot of them like try to have respect for themselves, or they don't want to get attached to that guy, so they don't do the one-night stand as often as men do.
Okay. But yet every single man who's ever had a one-night stand, he's had one with a woman. But okay, so that's neither here nor there. So here's my thing. Okay, so let's dissect that. You said women get more attached emotionally. Here's my thing, and this is a proven scientific fact. Women express their love in emotional ways, and men are more visual, they're more physical. The majority of men express their love for the woman that they're dealing with through having sex. That's how we emotionally connect. Because we're not as sensitive or emotionally open by nature as women are. It's just not how we're designed. Physiologically, we are different. So is it necessarily a bad thing if men think about sex? Because let's look at it from the scientific standpoint. The real purpose of having sex, not just that it's fun, not just that it's enjoyable, the purpose of having sex is to reproduce. And the amount of sperm cells that men produce, it's not possible that in our primitive brain we're not hardwired to think about sex all the time. Like that's really what we're here for. I mean, that's the purpose of why we're here. Society introduced all the other shit that we do on a daily basis. It's only civilized society, which doesn't even go back some few thousand years. But if you go all the way back to the beginning of time, our main purpose was to procreate, populate the earth. So is it a bad thing that men think about sex as much as we do?
It's not, but I don't want to feel like I'm talking to a guy, and I give him like a day, and the first thing he's going to talk to me about is sex, or he's going to have to tell me like some, sexual gestures and be disrespectful.
That's true.
I don't want to feel like I'm a piece of whatever.
But you know what I think though, and I understand that too, but I think men are shaped largely by their experiences with women. So if you have a lot of women out here who are very promiscuous, very open with their sexuality, because if you want to be real, women are the ones who really set the tone for the relationship for the most part. It's usually the women who are more open as far as like allowing men to engage in sexual activity with them. So if you have a man who comes across 5 or 6 different women who are all for having sex with him, he's going to automatically think the same thing when he meets you until you set a different tone.
Right. Okay. But that's what I mean. So that means that's what he thinks about. And that's what he's used to.
True. So from the standpoint of you now as a married woman for 5 years, do you feel like all your husband thinks about is sex?
It crosses his mind, like when he comes home. That's what he wants.
Look, as a man, period, and if you're in a long-term relationship, or if you're in a live-in situation, or if you're in a marriage, look, I expect to have sex with you at least 4 to 5 times a week. Like that's healthy. You have to have a healthy sexual appetite to that's an important aspect of a relationship. Do you agree?
Agreed. Yes,
I
that's
mean,
for sure. It plays a big role in any relationship.
and then if it's someone that you're with exclusively, especially in a marriage, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it.
No, and you both have to fulfill each other's,
So then
satisfaction in
you're
order
really
to
just
not look outside.
so you're okay. So you hold on. So are you saying that? Are you saying that it is possible for people who are in relationships? Not saying it's an excuse, but if you're not engaging in a healthy, consistent sex life with your partner, that the part of the purpose of that is for them to keep from cheating or cheating?
Yes.
Really? That's interesting coming from you.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm not satisfying him, or if I'm not, giving him what he needs and what he needs to maintain that relationship and to make it a healthy relationship, that's when he's going to go and look for it outside or somewhere else.
And so you're telling me that as a
and
woman,
vice versa.
really, even if you're married?
Even if I'm married, people cheat on each other
No,
all the time in marriage, and they have
right.
affairs.
No, you're absolutely right, but I'm asking more so what I know about you personally. I mean, you're very religious, very spiritual, yes. I wouldn't think that would be something that would ever cross your mind. It's very logical, but I'm kind of surprised.
Yes, it definitely crosses my mind a lot.
Okay, so as a woman, does that mean that if you ever found out, God forbid, that your husband stepped out on you and had an affair, and he said to you, well, you don't have sex as often as I would like, or, you're always tired, or you have a headache, or whatever the case, whatever bullshit women say when they don't want to have sex, you would understand?
No, I wouldn't understand.
Okay, good. Because if you would have said yeah, I would have been like, nah, no way in hell. So how can you look at it?
I wouldn't understand.
So how come from one standpoint you could be very logical? Because, see, that's the difference, I think, the biggest difference between men and women, is that men are very logical and women tend to be more emotional. So how can you as a woman acknowledge the logical side, which you just did, but then say you wouldn't understand if it actually happened?
Because we go through things, and there should be communication where he can come and tell me, oh, listen, I really, I feel like we haven't been close like we used to, or we haven't been having sex like we used to. So basically, it has to be consistent. I cannot do something and then one thing I'm not going to be consistent with, and another week,
that very much.
So if I got him used to something, that I have to stick with that.
See, I agree, and I believe that no matter what issues you're having in a relationship, whether it's about the sexual activity, whether it's about who's not helping keep the house clean or who's not helping with the kids, whatever it is, I feel like you can't see my views about cheating and all that stuff. It's evolving, and I feel like I don't necessarily judge a person or look down on a person who would cheat on me in a relationship, because I'm very logical. What I do hold against people is that if you feel the need to cheat on me for whatever reason, but you didn't have a conversation with me about it first, and you didn't give me the chance to fix whatever you might feel in your head is wrong, because look, we all operate off of our own perspective, and that's reality. What I think might be going on in our relationship might not be what's actually going on. It just might be how I perceive it. If I don't come to you first and have a conversation and give you the chance to fix whatever I think is wrong, then I don't have nothing to stand on if I cheat on you. Like if a woman cheats on me and then only after it comes out that she cheated on me, then there's all these things that are being said, but you had the chance to speak on those things to avert that cheating, then you don't have no ground to stand on as far as that being a good reason for why you did what you did.
Right.
But see, that's what I'm seeing is happening often. So then, okay, so not to get too far off topic. So you feel like men think about sex more than women. But now, also, were you genuinely asking, is all pussy the same? Or is that something that you've had conversations with other girlfriends of yours about? Or something that you overheard men talking about?
I've had conversations with my girlfriends about it, and I'm sure that's what men talk about a lot. That's all that they talk about, actually.
So what
With
would
their
it,
voice.
first of all, that's not always, well, I shouldn't say that. I should say those of us who were more mentally evolved, that is not all we talk about. And you know firsthand, me and you have had countless number of intelligent conversations over the years. And up to now, we have never talked about sex. So that's not all I talk about, and that's definitely not all I think about.
Right. But maybe because I was in a relationship and you respected that, so that's why you
Well,
did
no,
talk
I don't
about
even mean like me saying I wanted to have sex with you. I'm talking about in general. You've never heard me talk about sex. Even you know what I mean? But I said that's neither here nor there. I mean, I'm not saying that we don't talk about it and don't talk about it. We do, but I'm curious as to how a bunch of women are sitting around saying, hey, I wonder if all of our vaginas feel the same. Is that like how the context of the conversation went?
Yes, one time we were all out and we just thought about that. We're like, yeah, I wonder too.
Okay. You can tell your girlfriend.
I feel like it is.
You can tell your girlfriend. You feel like it is what?
I feel like they are very similar.
Okay. You can tell all your girlfriends and any woman listening, all pussy does not feel the same. 100% absolutely does not. If it did, men wouldn't feel the need to have multiple different women if it all felt the same. It does not. It's not just about personality of a woman. It's not just about what other things she brings to a relationship. There are literally men who have sex with certain women and will never do it again just because they don't like the way it feels. It's no different than you as a woman.
So if they like the way it feels, they're going to continue having sex with that person, but if they didn't, they won't?
Absolutely. Look, don't I don't know so much about you, but don't pretend that there are women out there who have not had sexual partners and they're like, yo, I can't fuck with this dude anymore. His dick is too small. Or it's the same thing. Like the same thing for women, like where different sizes matter. It's the same thing for men. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but how is it different for a woman? We don't have sizes, really.
You don't have.
It's either going to be wet, dry.
Well, see, here's the thing. Okay, certain vaginas are deeper than others. Certain vaginas get more moist than others. Certain women squirt. Certain women do not. Certain women get more wet or less than others. And then certain women, and then outside of that, it also has a lot to do with look, you can have a big penis and not know how to use it. You can have a small one and know how to use it. It's partly the anatomy, but it's also how you use it. There's so many women who have nice bodies, they might have the perfect ratios that a guy's looking for, but if she's mad lazy and don't know what to do with any of what she has, it's not going to be enjoyable. Not at all.
Yeah, but a guy is the one who does the strokes, and he's the one who does,
not necessarily. I'm not always going to be on top. Be crazy as hell if I'm going to always be on top. And then also, if as a female, if you're not open to certain positions, that's kind of a turn off too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look, every guy is different. Every guy has their own preferences. Me personally speaking, I tend to be more into women who get more wet than others. There are women who get very wet to the point where it's a mess everywhere. I'm into all of that. I'm here for it. That's what I'm here for. I like women who squirt. Not very many women do. And for the ones who do, you have to know how to bring them to that point. And that could be a part of it too. So I've never had an issue with that. And then me being a slightly bigger than average guy, you need to be a little deep. If you're not, then I'm just hitting a bunch of walls. And another thing too, there's a such thing as you being too small. There's a such thing as you being too big. There is sizes actually when you think about it.
Really?
Yeah, because certain women have very small vaginas, very small, and it's very uncomfortable if you're a bigger dude because you just feel like I don't know, you just feel like you're raping a toy or something. It's crazy. And then there are women who are very open. I don't mean open from the standpoint of not being tight. I mean the inside. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but there's definitely differences, and you know it right away as soon as you go
Yeah,
in.
but I feel like when you're having sex, it's not because of the pussy, and it's like, oh my God, this is the best sex I've ever had.
Yo,
No,
yes,
it's because of the experience.
yes, no, yes, definitely. There are definitely, okay, there are so many barbershop conversations that I've had with male friends of mine, and they're like, yo, Kev, I was with this girl last night. Yo, best pussy I've ever had in my life.
So they do talk about sex. There you go.
Absolutely. But, there's time and place.
Point proven.
But there is such a thing as being like, yo, I was with this girl last night, and, like, she didn't even really get wet. Like, that shit is mad whack. Like, it's just friction. And there are such a thing as getting, like, rug burns, like skin burns. Like, you're not going to be, I can't be thrusting in and out of you, and I'm getting rug burned by me because you're not even wet. Like, I should not have to use lubrication if you're in your 20s or 30s. That's a problem.
Yeah, but you should get her in the mood, and
no,
everything will be all good.
But some women only get a certain moisture level. Some women get without personalizing it, there are some women who I know personally who get wet to the point where it drips down their leg. That is,
wow.
For me personally, I'm here for it. All about it. I'm with that life.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain women who just don't. I mean, there are certain women who shoot out. There are certain women who, when they climax, it's a lot. There are certain women that it's not. It really depends.
Right.
I don't know. Sometimes you can tell, or we at least as men like to try to think that we can tell, like what women are going to be better than others. And sometimes you're right on point, and sometimes you're not. It's just one of those things.
So you're not going to have sex with a girl from the first night if she doesn't let you, obviously, because, we try to wait it out, make sure we like the guy and all that kind of stuff. So if things are going good and you guys are going on a different date, then there is a connection going on and you're really feeling her, you like her personality, she looks dope, she's looking good and she's your type, but then something is wrong with her pussy, then what do? You're not going to continue on?
It depends. Okay, it depends on the guy, because now we're talking about something different. There's sex that you have with a sexual partner that you have a connection with, and that's naturally going to make it feel better because you have a connection with that person. But we're just talking about.
So it's not about her pussy now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's a difference. There's okay, like if me and you are having sex and we're in a relationship and I'm into you and you're into me, it's going to feel better because we're into each other. We have a connection. But if we're just, let's say if we're just friends who have sex with each other from time to time because we have needs, we don't necessarily have someone that we're in a relationship with either because we're busy with work or we're in school, whatever it is. But from time to time, we're like, yo, we need to help each other out because it's just the kind of friendship we have. Then at that point, it's about the actual activity. And then it's all about how it physically feels. I'm not talking about the emotion part. I'm talking about how it physically feels. There is differences.
Because it's friends with benefits. Yes, that's what it's about.
And yes, there are men who are like, yo, like for example, my barber. He's dating this girl that he has been dating for quite a while now. And he's not the type of person to really date one woman for an extended amount of time. He was in prison for 10 years, and now when he came out, he was kind of just getting the prison rust off of him, kind of fuck everything in sight because he hadn't seen a female in 10 years. And at a certain point, you do get tired of that, and you do think about the possibility of settling down. So he met this girl, and he didn't like her personality too much. He did make a connection with her, but it was more so out of convenience more than anything because he didn't want to really be running around with different women anymore. He wanted to start getting used to being settled down. This isn't the woman that he wants to spend the rest of his life with. He just wants to get himself used to. She's basically his primer for the wife that he's going to meet. And men do that just like women do it. She's a placeholder. The thing is, she recently got pregnant, and then against what he wanted, she got rid of the baby. ever since then, his emotional ties to her have been like killed. Because for some men, that's like an automatic. Like I just don't look at you the same way anymore. And strictly because he swears up and down she has the best cheeks on earth, he continues to deal with her. Because he said it is, he makes up words when he describes having sex with her. Like, he makes up words. Like, he says it's ridiculous. And because of that, he continues to deal with her. And that's a common theme. I know a lot of men who will continue to have sex with crazy women, women who have multiple kids, women who they're not even thinking about getting into a serious relationship with. But because their pussy is dope, they will continue to fuck that.
Right, because that's what it's all about.
And I know women who are the same way. They're like, yo, this dude has good dick. I'm going to keep messing with him. But he's not going to be my husband. He's not going to be, like, I know women like that as well.
Yeah, but women also like to connect and be attached to the guy and be attracted to him, and a lot of different things have to be in play.
But see, that's from your standpoint of who you are. There are so many women out here nowadays who are so liberated in their sexuality, they're out here moving like men. I know women who literally have sex with a dude and be like, I don't like him. Like, it just is what it is. Like, I just needed dick, so he was there. Or it was good, so I'm just going to keep doing it. Like, there's so many women who do that. You have wives out here who go home to their husbands every night, play the housewife, cook and clean, do all these things, take care of the kids, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as
you go out there and fuck other men.
Exactly.
But that's because something is lacking.
See, that's the point, and that's where my idea of monogamy and long-term relationships and marriage is starting to evolve, because nothing is ever lacking in a person. We are who we are. There's somebody for everybody. The problem is, you will never find a person that will satisfy every need you have. It's impossible. It's not logical.
It's not, right. But that's why you have to at least get someone that's going to be close to everything that you do need or want.
But see, here's the problem.
Because if you don't find it, you're going to look out elsewhere.
But here's the problem. Here's part of the problem. We as a society are so spoiled by everything that we have that all we tend to focus on is what we don't have, and we don't pay enough attention to and appreciation to the things we do have. So if you and me are in a relationship or in a marriage, and you have 10 things on your list of things that you would want in a man, and I have 9 of them, the cynical part of you, the human nature part of you, is going to be so resentful about that one thing that I don't have, that if at some point we have a rift in our relationship, or we're arguing, or things are not exactly up, they're down, because there's ups and downs, and then a man is in your inbox, and then you get cool with him, and you're just talking to him, and then he starts appealing to that thing that you're looking for that you don't have, that void. That doesn't mean that I'm lacking in anything. It just means that that person who may not have any of the other 9 qualities I possess, but he has that one that you're not getting, you might be tempted to step out on me with him just because he has that one thing. It doesn't mean that you don't love that person anymore. It doesn't mean you don't want to be in a relationship with that person anymore. But I just feel like the times that we're living in.
But I would step out on you, get whatever I need to fulfill whatever I need, and then miss the fact that I had you and go back to that.
Exactly. And that's all I'm saying. And I'm saying that that's becoming more and more acceptable behavior. And I think it's the case because the world is a lot smaller, and you don't have to move around the way you used to cheat on people. So if men think about sex all the time, and I mean, as a wife, if you're working and you're a mom and you're doing so many other things, you aren't possibly going to be able to fulfill, like, as much as you, let's say, if you and your husband have sex, let's say, every day, in a 7-day week, once a day, you think that's enough for them? So let's say if, because most people cheat out of circumstance or opportunity. You think that if a woman who looks better than you, who's sexier than you, throws herself at him, even the best man, after a certain amount of time, is going to get worn down by that.
That you think he's going to fall for the temptation?
maybe not fall for the temptation, because here's where I think men and women are different when it comes to sex. I totally believe that the women who play the game of, yo, I'm having sex with this dude, but it ain't nothing, after a certain period of time, if you're a woman, you're not having sex with a man and continuing to do so and not developing feelings for him. A man can have sex with you, go home to his wife, and not think about you once. I don't think a woman can do that. I don't think women are wired that way.
No, we're emotional. We get attached.
A man can definitely keep his priorities in order with his marriage, with his relationship, whatever it is he has to do or is responsible for, have sex with a woman, and not have any type of desire whatsoever to leave his wife. But women, on the other hand, be ready to leave their husbands for these dudes that aren't even about shit.
Because they get attached to them emotionally.
Exactly. Right. But is that because that person is lacking something, or is it because just not meant to be monogamous?
It's because they're lacking something. Yeah.
But that's the thing. How can you say a person is lacking something? Like, as human beings, none of us are perfect. We're all flawed in our own individual ways. Just because
we got used to something, and then the consistency is not there.
That doesn't necessarily have to be true, though. It's a two-way street.
It is. People get comfortable, and that's why things change.
You're right.
That's why they call them the honeymoon stage, right?
You're right. But we both get comfortable. If we're together for 5 years, I'm not the only one getting comfortable. You are too. Let's be real. So, okay, let's take your premise of thinking about sex all the time. Now, I'm marrying you. I'm in my head. I'm like, yo, she's mad dope. She's like, she's fuck. Like, what? And then, first 6 months go by. We're having sex every day, 2 times a day, in the kitchen, in the bathroom. It's crazy, right?
Right.
And then another 6 months go by. It's starting to go down a little bit. Like, we're still having sex often, but we're not doing it in the car, in the movie theater like we used to, or like crazy places. And then by year 3 or 4, now instead of coming to bed wearing like see-through thongs, now you're wearing fuzzy pants with fucking face masks and a big ass scarf wrapped around your head. Like, come on, you know how you women do. And these big ass granny panties. Like, men see that shit, and the visual doesn't click off. So, like, at a certain point, it's like, yo, I'm not as attracted to this woman as I was before because there's no longer any mystery. I'm seeing all these things. Like, I'm seeing you with your big-ass granny panties and pads taped to your underwear because you're on your period and rollers in your head.
But that's normal. I mean, that's like...
normal. It doesn't mean you're lacking. It's just normal. We as human beings like variety. It's normal for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if men do think about sex too much for some women, I think it's just because naturally we're not meant to be with one woman. I don't think any woman is meant to be with just one man. I think you can have multiple connections.
So people are going to be cheating left and right if that's the case.
They do already. That's the thing. They do already. Society makes people believe.
So you don't think there's any people that are married? My parents have been married for 29 years.
I believe that there are people. Here's my real belief, because I got to be real with all my listeners, always, on any of my platforms. You find me anybody who's been married for 30 years, and if they're honest with you, somebody did something they shouldn't have did at one point in time. The other person may not know about it. Here's the thing. You find me a relationship that is perfect, right? And here's what I'm going to tell you is a fact. Somebody in that relationship at some point cheated, and the other person doesn't know about it. That's the only difference. It's the
so you feel like cheating is inevitable, and everybody's going to do it at one point, no matter what?
Absolutely, because it's not considered to be that. We make it that. That's something that society puts on us. Cheating is only cheating because society says it is. Let's break down what faithful really is. The definition of faithful doesn't mean I'm with you and you're the only person I'm with. The definition of faithful, another word for faithful is dependable, reliable, consistent. That doesn't mean I have to only be consistent and dependable and reliable to only one person. I can be faithful to a bunch of different things. I can be faithfully on time to work. I can be faithfully a good father. I can be faithfully a good husband. I can be faithfully a good boyfriend to my side chick. Faithful doesn't mean one person.
My life
society
cycle.
makes it that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just society needs to control people. It needs to compartmentalize everything. And so what better way to control people than to tell them, look, if you're dating someone, then, and it's not exclusive, then you're doing something wrong. How? If you're not married, you're single.
So anybody, whether they're married or not married, they get cheated on at one
You
point.
have two different types of people. You have the people who are getting cheated on in their current relationship, and you have the people who were cheating on someone in their relationship. Now, I'm not saying that every person that you've ever been with in your life has cheated on you. What I'm saying is every person at some point in time in their life has been cheated on. And every person at some point in time in their life has cheated on someone.
Okay, so basically my husband could have cheated in the past on somebody, but now he's in a relationship with me and he's not going to be cheating.
And that would be your best case scenario, is that he's done that, he's gotten out of his system, and he's decided that he don't want to live that type of life anymore. That's the best, that's the best case scenario. There's nothing else that you could possibly hope for. You know what I mean? There's nothing else.
Right.
But now here's the thing too, is that if you feel like you don't know for sure if your husband ever cheated on you or not, you're never gonna know unless you either something gets caught, or if you're one of those stupid females who's going through his shit and just feels like you can find out and you find something. Other than that, you're never gonna know. So we go on thinking that, look, there's been
not on my time clock. My man better not even think about it.
But look, here's the thing. There have been people that I have been with in my lifetime who has cheated on me, and I had no idea anything was going on. Nothing. And you gonna talk about
I check phone. I check, like, I am on top of it. I am not going to be fooled around. Absolutely not.
But
I know where he is at all times, who you talk to, who you're going out with, everything else.
And that's what I thought, and that's what people like us always say. Look, I'm just using you as an example because you're married and you're the person I'm talking to. There are people who have cheated on me who I did not possibly think they could possibly have had the time in the day to do it. If you want to cheat on someone, you'll find the time to do it. If you don't want to cheat on someone, you won't. It's that simple. But cheating is not just sexual. Cheating happens 24/7, 100% of the time. Because it's impossible for it not to. If you're walking through the mall and you're going Christmas shopping, and out of the corner of your eye, you see a guy that physically meets every single preference that you have of a guy that would be your type if you're single, even if you're not conscious of it, in your head you're going to be like, yo, he's mad sexy. Even if you don't say it out loud. Technically, that's cheating. The Bible defines that as cheating, as committing adultery. What you think in your mind, you've already done. That's what the Bible says.
Looking at a guy would be that same way, too. Thinking about him.
Exactly. But you see why it's impossible to not do it. It's human nature.
Oh, but I'm talking about physical, actually, like sleeping with someone, cheating.
But then here's the thing. If you want to, but you don't, why aren't you? Because you think it's wrong. Because society makes you believe that it's wrong. Don't mean you don't want to. If you were taught from a young age that we could be with whoever we want and we can have sex with whoever we want, no matter who we're with, we would have no guilt whatsoever about cheating. It's only because we believe it's wrong, because we've been programmed to think that we feel like it's wrong. You can't even listen to what your premise is. If you think that men think about sex too much, then you couldn't possibly, as one woman, like satisfy his every sexual. You couldn't possibly.
Okay, for instance, that's true. I guess, yes. But I feel like, okay, so many men come at me on different types of days and at work, outside of work, in the mall, anywhere. And a lot of them are very, very, very good looking. But I don't care how good looking they are. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care how educated they are. If I'm in love with the person that I'm with and I'm committed to him and I'm in a relationship with him, I cannot see myself cheating on him. Like, it just wouldn't be right. It wouldn't feel right.
Here's what
but they're sexy in my eyes. And I would sleep with them any day if I was single.
Here's what you're not calculating.
Stay there.
But here's what you're getting in that equation. There's an X in that equation. There's two things that you're not accounting for. One, you're still pretty early on in your marriage. You're only at the point now in your marriage where they say that 50% of marriages don't make it to, and that's the first 5 years. Now, let's say it's 10 years from now, and all those things that you think are cute about your husband now, you don't think they're so cute in 10 years, in 5 years, in 15 years. And understand, too, it's very rarely the person you see at a grocery store that you end up cheating with. More than likely, it's that guy that you're close friends with that you talk to every day. You know exactly how he is. He's smart, he's funny, he's charming, he's all these things, right? He's in close proximity to you. You might even be close enough with him that you complain to him about things in your relationship when you're upset, because we all do it. It's human nature. Mm-hmm. That's usually the person you end up cheating with, because at a certain point, there's a connection there. And once there's a connection, all those things you said that's logical, I don't see myself doing this, I love my husband, all those things go out the window. Because when you start to develop an emotional connection to someone, nothing seems wrong anymore. There are people who get killed behind having affairs. There are people who are married for mad long, live in the same neighborhood, and they cheat on each other, and they do all these crazy things, and they throw their whole lives away. All because of an affair.
Right.
I don't know.
That's true.
I just think there needs to be less emotional restraints and physical restraints put on relationships and marriages. And first of all, if you didn't hear my one podcast that I told you to listen to, the one about marriage vows, personally, I think marriage licenses should expire every 5 to 10 years. Because it's unrealistic to say I do to someone, knowing full well that 10 years down the line, you don't know where you're going to mentally be or emotionally be in relation to that person. But I think if marriages or licenses were set to expire, and it was up to the two people in that marriage to decide if they want to renew them or not, and if they don't, you're no longer married, I think that's the best way to kill the divorce rate that we have in this country. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but everyone would get divorced, because after like 5-10 years, they'd be like, oh, it's not the same anymore. I'm out.
Not necessarily, because what I believe, this is a personal theory of mine, I think that and so the people who are married, I'm not meaning to be offensive, any time you impose a life sentence of any kind on someone, that introduces stress. And a marriage is a life sentence. You're saying that you're going to be with this person until you leave this planet. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. And most people, like you said, they get comfortable. They don't do it on purpose. It just happens. You take people for granted. But if we were married and we saw the expiration date, and we knew that in 5 years, if we don't renew our marriage license, this shit is over. Imagine how less likely we're going to be to get comfortable. Imagine how more likely I'm going to be more attentive to what your needs are, and vice versa. Imagine how less likely you're going to be to gain that extra 5 or 10 pounds.
But my husband should love me for who I am.
But like you said, everybody's lacking something if someone's cheating. It don't got nothing to do with you. See, that's the thing. People always want to put it off on the person who gets cheated on and not the person who's doing the cheating. You are never going to blame me for why you cheated on me. Fuck out of here. I don't care how much. I don't care how much you feel like I'm slacking on in the relationship or whatever. If you feel need to cheat on me, don't be with me if that's what my belief is about cheating. It's just that simple.
That's true. I agree. You're not going to blame me for that.
Original point, right? Going back to our original point, the majority of people, that's what it comes down to. The majority of people who do end up cheating, they do it out of fear.
They do it out of fear?
Absolutely, 100%.
Really?
Yep. Because either you're afraid that you're going to get cheated on or that you're already being cheated on and you don't want to get played, or you feel like if you're not doing it, it's going to get done to you.
So that's why they do it. I don't know. I feel like I don't feel so that doesn't mean I'm gonna go out there cheating because I feel like I'm gonna get cheated on at one point in life from the conversation that me and you just had.
And that's because you're not accounting for X. You don't have those doubts. But if you're a little sneaky ass and going through his phone one day, you see a text between him and some woman, and she's like, "Yo, I had a dope ass time with you last night." Now you got some doubt in your head. You might have a conversation with him, and he might be like, "Oh, baby, it's nothing. You know, it's just a friend of mine, and we were just talking, whatever." But
no, you would see that in a missing report for his ass after that point.
But I'm just saying, it's those little things that introduce doubt. Then at some point, you're going to be like, "Yo, this don't make no sense, yo. It's not adding up. It used to take 20 minutes to get home. Now it's taking an hour to get home." Like, it takes 2 minutes for somebody to cheat. 2 minutes. It don't take a long time.
Yeah, that is true. That is a good point. It can happen anytime, anywhere, with whomever.
Most people are going to hear this and be like, "Oh, they're getting off topic. It's talking about cheating." No, it's all related because we were talking about, does all pussy feel the same? I don't care how dope you are in the kitchen. I don't care how dope you are as a mom. I don't care how good you are at keeping your house clean. Yo, you're not going to feel like another woman is going to feel. You're just not. And sometimes men get tempted, and sometimes they get a taste of what they're tempted by, and it's crazy. It is what it is.
Yeah, well, I hope that's not going to be the case. I hope that no girl is going to sit there and try to tempt my husband.
I hope so too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I guess in reality now I'm going to go back to my girlfriends and let them know that not all
please
pussy
put
is
them
the
on
same.
notice. It's definitely not. Please put them on notice. And then also, I don't know if this is going to make sense to you, but there are women, right? Like as a man, you might have sex with them, and it might feel good physically. But then, if that woman is not intelligent, can't hold a conversation, if that woman is just mad loud and ghetto, or she's whatever personality trait, that changes the physical feeling of the back. Like it's just a turn off.
Oh, and she got to be a freak in the bed too, right?
You, as a woman, have a very hard job. You need to be a freaking genius when it comes to being able to hold a conversation with your husband and keep his interest in you mentally. You need to be physically built like a model. You need to be classier than Michelle Obama when you're out in the streets. But you need to be Jenna Jameson, biggest porn star in the world, when you go home to him at night.
Wow.
And if you miss any one of those things for too long a period of time, yo, you're in danger of being cheated on. Period.
That's a lot to keep up with.
Hey, it is
you
what it is.
You gotta clean the house, take care of the kids, keep a good shape on yourself, on your body, and go to the gym and work out, and go to work and bring money to the house.
Well, that
and
depends too on your family dynamic.
Take care of yourself.
Well, that depends on your family dynamic because me as a parent, I'm typically the main caregiver of my kids as the parent. But that's just my family dynamic. And for the first, I would say half of my marriage, I was the one mainly maintaining the house and doing the cooking and all that stuff. Even now, I do the majority of the cooking, but that's just my family dynamic. Every family dynamic is different. It's not just the woman who has to do those things. It's whoever is home at the time that those things need to get done. It's not about a gender.
Yeah, but how can you keep up with all of that as a one person? I mean, nobody's perfect.
It's not supposed to be one person. That's what I mean. It's not supposed to be just one person. And when it is, that's when there's a resentment that sets in.
Yeah. I know. Everyone expects everything, and the grass is not always greener on the other side, and that's just the way it is. And I feel like everybody at one point in life, they're going to change. So I can be married to my husband for 40 years. I'm not going to be the same person 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. Just the way it is. My body's going to change.
Right.
I'm going to get older. I'm going to look different. He just got to love me for who I am. I'm not going to be able to keep up and have sex with him every single day for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. So now here's the
And I'm not going to expect him to cheat on me then. When I had a baby, and you're not allowed to have sex, I guess, for like 6 weeks after you give birth. So
something like
he wasn't out there cheating on me.
Well, come on, that's a little extreme.
But that is 6 weeks without sex, right?
But the goal is, like you said, everyone's going to change. The goal is to communicate and change together. That's the goal. That's why, hopefully, you marry someone that you see yourself changing and growing with. People don't drastically change. There's small things about us, to a few degrees we might change, but our core personality traits are what they are, and they will not change. So the goal is to be with somebody that you already know what their core personality traits are, and they're in line with you. That's what it means when the Bible says find someone who's equally yoked. Because the reason why I think people say, oh, this person changed so much, it's not the person I married, then that was never the person for you. You just didn't take the time to pay attention and to get to know what their core personality traits were. That's why you have examples of people who are married for 30 years, 50 years, 60 years. They're the same people, essentially. They change, but they change together.
Okay.
At the same pace. But that's hard to do.
They change together, yeah, but then maybe the person is not going to like what the other person changed to be, because that's not how they met them.
That's what I'm saying. If I'm the kind of person that I am, and I understand myself and I know myself, then you're the kind of person you are, and you understand yourself and you know yourself, then you know what you're looking for and I know what I'm looking for. So the core things I'm looking for that I see in you will not change.
Yeah.
It's those ancillary things, those peripheral things that change. The problem is people get into relationships and they don't have a relationship with themselves. They don't know their self. So if you don't know yourself, you can't possibly know the person that you're laying down with. Then it is just sex. There are people who are married for 20 years and it's just sex. That's all it is.
Yeah. You're right. I agree. Your point is proven.
So I advise all you women who aren't mentally able, who don't know how to hold a conversation, and keep your man's interest, do your kegels, make sure you keep your pussy tight, because if that shit starts to fade, then it's a wrap in these streets.
Pussy's not the same. That is true.
One thing that our grandparents figured out, that their parents and their parents figured out, was that love is not an emotion, especially when you're married. Love is a commitment. It's something that you commit to do. If you span a marriage, let's say mine, I've been married almost 10 years. In my 10 years of being married, you think that I've loved my wife every day that I've been married to her? Hell fucking no. There are days I don't even like her ass, and I'm sure there's days she don't even like me. That ain't the point. The point is that you understand how to coast through those bad times when the bad times come. That's the trick. But the problem is our grandparents, their parents, and parents before them, one, they knew how to do that because they understood that when there was problems, you come closer together. And two, there were less distractions for them. If Grandma had Twitter and somebody was in her DMs when her husband was acting crazy, then Grandma would have been twerking at the club Friday night too. Our world is smaller. We have so many more distractions.
We do. And so many more temptations.
Yes. And so many more women getting ass shots and getting implants and just looking crazy dope. Like, yo, it's crazy out here. Like,
but that's all fake. No guy should be
look,
that's not cool.
Perception is reality. Read my first book. It's on Amazon. If perception is reality, if that shit feels real, I don't care how fake it is.
Really? And then she's getting all the wrong attention. Like, if you don't love yourself and you don't like yourself for who you are, then to me you're just so fake. Like, if you have to sit there and change all that about yourself, then I don't know, you're not natural anymore. You know, like, work with what you got, make yourself look good, go to the gym, work hard like everybody else, and that's it. You don't got to go pay money and look so fake and then expect guys to respect you because all they're looking at is that ass that you just got done. They're not really attracted to you for your personality.
But see, I don't think that gives men the right to disrespect a woman either. Look, some women do love themselves, but some women just aren't naturally blessed. I almost said breast. Some women aren't naturally blessed in areas that they want to be, and some women love themselves, but they just want to feel more sexy than biologically they are. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. I think it's all in moderation. If you feel like you're only A cup and you want to see, yo, do you? I'm with it. I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you are. A lot of guys are not, though.
Don't walk up in here, though.
Some guys don't like it.
I'm just saying, though. Don't be 5'3", 125 with double D's. You look crazy. I mean, all in moderation. All in moderation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't know. A lot of guys don't like it.
No, I don't personally. I don't like even excessive makeup on women. I think if you're not naturally pretty, then you're just not meant to be that. You better work on your personality. Everybody ain't meant to be pretty. It's just what it is. But then there's a lot of pretty women out here who are ugly because their personality is out of whack.
Mhm.
It really just depends what your taste is. All I know is if you're talking about the emotional part, then there's so many different variables. If you're talking about just sex, it ain't all the same.
Yeah.
No.
Agreed. I think you convinced me.
I hope so. Well, I definitely want to thank you, though, for joining me on my episode and talking about this with me. Hopefully we could do another topic down the line because you ran down a whole list of topics you wanted to talk about, and hopefully we could incorporate those at some point.
We definitely will. It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Say bye to my audience.
It was nice talking to you all. Hopefully you guys got to learn something new just like I did. And hopefully I'll talk to you all soon.
And for everybody, before I close out, I just want to say, a lot of times I'm accused of being vulgar. Sometimes I'm accused of being explicit. I do that by design. I'm a real proponent of sometimes you have to be profane in order to be profound. And I think that in order to push content and further the discussion about any topic, sometimes you have to incorporate comedy. Sometimes you have to be a little more serious. Sometimes you have to be a little raunchy. It's all for the purpose of hoping that we can get to a point where we can better relate to each other. I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know. I see you in the next one. Peace and love.